If you have dyed your brows, you probably know all these steps, but this video is for those of you who have never dyed their brows and they are interested in doing so. First, I will take my scissors and I cut and clean around the eyebrows. I know that these aren't brow scissors, but since these are very long, I can give it a straight cut using these. I forgot to mention this. Make sure you are wearing an old shirt and also take off all of your jewelry, because that has happened to me. A piece of dye has dropped on my shirt or on my jewelry and has ruined it. I've been doing this for years now and I have no trouble with any sensitivity or anything. And I have very sensitive skin. So maybe patch test before you do anything with any dyes on your face to make sure that it is not going to burn your face or anything. If I leave it on for too long and if I rub it hard after I'm taking it off, it will give me an irritation, but if I am careful, it won't happen. Next step is Vaseline. I use Vaseline because usually moisturizers can run under your brows. This is very thick and it stays on where you put it on. That's why I prefer Vaseline. What I do is I take a Q-tip, usually one of those ones that have a point to them, and I will put it around my brows, close to my brows, wherever I don't want the dye to touch. Since I'm dyeing my brows with almost a black color, it is really hard to not to get it anywhere. It usually gets everywhere and it usually dyes around my brows too. It adds a step, but it is actually worth it. I talked about this in one of my videos. I don't wear any tinted brow gels, but I dye my eyebrows. I feel like this is a lot more natural for me. It is a lot easier to handle this way in my opinion than wearing a tinted brow gel. It looks a lot more natural. As much as possible, try not to put it on your brows, because anywhere you put this on, the dye cannot penetrate and it won't dye your brows. I will actually show you a method for taking it off so that it doesn't irritate your eyebrows. This is what I have been doing for a while now and it never irritates the skin under my eyebrows. Next step is gloves. Whichever gloves you want to use, at some point it's going to get on your skin and on your nails, so make sure you are wearing gloves. Then I will take a plastic cap of some sort, anything you have at home. Sometimes I keep them for a while, then I throw them out after a couple of uses. This is gonna drive everyone nuts. Next step is the dye itself. This time I bought a beard dye. This is the permanent cream hair dye from Magic Color. The reason I get it in jet black is that I have very dark brows and anything lighter than this will lighten my brows, and with black usually you can get some shadowing on your skin for a couple of days too. I have to say I'm not a professional. I am just doing this at home for myself and I've been doing this for years. So if you want to make sure that these products are safe for you, or if you want to make sure that you are doing the right thing, maybe ask a professional about it. The developer also comes in the box. With my developer there is a tip that you can take it off. I don't do that because I use this a couple of times. I don't use it once, so I just recap it every time. I pour a little bit of the developer, like this much, into my container. You don't need a lot. And then I will use the color. I just eyeball it. I don't actually measure everything. Then I will mix it with whatever I have. This is the amount of the color I used. This is the only process that I don't use reusable pads, because the dye gets anywhere and everywhere, so I just use regular pads and throw them out. For application, I have this brush that I got from YesStyle, I think. You can use any small brush that you have at home. It will give you a lot of precision and it will avoid any transfer of the dye to the areas next to your brows. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use this brush and the dye to basically shape my brows to the shape that I desire. I take some of the dye and I put it on my brows. It looks a little bit scary at first when you clean it up, but it gets better after a day usually. I would suggest doing it when you have some time, like doing it on a Friday so that you have like Saturday. If you're gonna go out, you have Saturday morning for it to go away. Then I will use the same Q-tip to clean up. This brow is done. Now the next one. The more you let it sit in your brows, the more irritation is gonna happen. So make sure that you are testing it out on your skin, and make sure you are not using it for too long the first time. After a while, you will know the time that your skin does not get irritated with the dye. You can use any color or any dye to dye your brows, even the hair dyes. Usually the developers for the hair dyes are a bit stronger, so that's why they say don't use the hair dyes. But if you're careful and if you don't use too much or you don't get a very strong developer, you're gonna be fine. But if you want to make sure, just get a beard dye from Amazon. Those are made for your face, so you're gonna be fine. There are some that are for brows too, but I thought those were a bit too expensive for such a little amount. I've had this for a month now and I'm still using it. I'm gonna use a little bit more Vaseline to clean up around the edges. At this point, I just wait for a couple of minutes, like 5 minutes, and then I clean up the brows. I clean up the brow that I first put it on, then I clean up the other brow, and I try to give it like a minute in between so that they have the same amount of time. I even have these little Q-tips that are very helpful in cleaning some of the edges. Now to take this off, I'm actually gonna use Vaseline again. I don't take it off with a dry pad or dry cloth. I use Vaseline to take it off as well because that way it glides on my skin a lot better. I use a lot of Vaseline on it. And I'll go like this to take most of it off. It is gonna look scary, I told you. But don't worry, I'll let you know what to do next. With the Vaseline, I just take the bulk of it off. That's all I do. See, I was so careful, but I still have a little bit of bleeding here. I usually do this step in the bathroom, but since I'm recording, I'm gonna do it on camera. Next step is using an oil cleanser. I use a couple of pumps on my brows and I will massage it in. So when you use Vaseline and you use an oil cleanser, you will get a lot less irritation. And I still leave my gloves on. I went ahead, washed off the oil cleanser, and then used a very mild soap. I used the Pre-Coil cleanser to clean up around the brows and clean up the brows too because I use a lot of Vaseline. Now I will go in with my tweezers and clean up around the edges. I don't pluck my brows too much. I just take like 1 or 2 brow hairs that are way outside the brow frame. Make sure when you are plucking your eyebrows, you have a mirror far away from you so that you can look at the mirror and compare every couple of seconds so that you don't do too much on one brow. This is gonna get a lot lighter by tomorrow, but I'm still happy about it. Alright, that's it. I'll try to make this a short video. If that doesn't happen, it's gonna be a very short, long format video probably. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. Again, I'm not a professional in any of these, so ask a professional if you're not comfortable. This is just my routine. Please don't forget to patch test before you are doing anything. I hope you have a great rest of the day and I will see you in my next video. Bye!